entwined vocal cord, timorous glance from mine to yours. Make me a melody I mutter mousily. Speak your prose with none to please. Weigh your elbows on my knees, as uttered several times before. Rhyme with your truth and metaphor swore. To be drawn to you is a kindness, steadily strumming just to remind us. Give me a word, hearken. Perfect, hearken, hearken for a while. Hearken, hearken for a while. We could sway above the meadows as our riddles rest beneath, as our verses hide away. We could say, let it be. Does your heart too whistle, I wonder, if the past is wet with the future? Is the now a chance or a passage only to be walked upon? And if that is what they are after, solely to foretell or to remember, it is us who are left above bedding, borrowing breath followed not by an ending. La da da da, la da da da, la da da da. Forget your voice, forget your mind. But when they find a way to wander, we will let it all. Hearken, hearken for a while. Hearken, hearken for a while. We could sway above the meadows as our riddles rest beneath. I will listen, I will listen, I will let it be. I will ba da 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 Hearken, hearken, oh hearken, 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 hearken for a while. Hearken, hearken for a while. Hello, hello, hello. Happy Wednesday. Good to be here, back streaming. Hope everyone is doing well. Yeah, I'm doing okay, Ghost. I hope you're doing alright too. Yeah, I've had a pretty, it's like a busy day, but I'm not like, I don't feel like I've got a lot done, but not like in a bad way. Just like, yeah, I don't know if that makes sense at all. But I felt like streaming, I really want to get into a rhythm with reading, and I've really been enjoying it. We've got up to last time left off on page 77, halfway through chapter 7. Mergen has just arrived. Actually, we don't know his name, do we? Yeah, sorry. The random hunter, I guess that's the best way to identify him, who's just shown up at where Hongjun has just woken up in a random courtyard, and they've just discovered that that random courtyard is actually where they're supposed to be. It is the Department of Exorcism. Not exactly how they thought the department would be. It's completely derelict, so we're going to find out what on earth is going on there. But the perspective has shifted now to, we will find out where in a minute. But yeah, I'm very excited to read again. Excited for where we will get in this stream. I feel like I was going to say something else. No idea what else I was going to say. Yeah. Yes, Wolf Guy has arrived. Gotta love a Wolf Guy. Oh yeah, wait. I just realized something
I know, that's hilarious. Hold on. He has a long lambskin owl jacket. He is canonically a wolf in sheep's clothing. That is hilarious to me. That's what I was going to say. Let me know if the mic sounds awful. I think it should be okay, but I'm hearing it echoed, so I don't know. Yeah, wanted to get into reading. Posted a YouTube video on Sunday. That's done a lot better than I expected. If you enjoy this stream, please give it a like or give me a follow on this or other platforms. It helps out with the algorithm, I believe. Thanks. Shall we begin reading? Should we begin? Should we see where we're gonna switch to now we've had the bombshell that the Department of Exorcism is a bunch of derelict buildings? Where are we going next? Let's find out. If you are seated comfortably, then I shall begin. Beyond the walls of Xingxing Palace, dark clouds blanketed the sky as the air turned intolerably muggy. In the gardens, Emperor Xuanzong of Tang, Li Longji, found it too hot to hold his beloved consort Yang Yuhuan in his arms. He released her, but soon missed her presence and pressed himself close once again. Although the lovers had been entwining this way for only a short time, they were already covered in sweat. Sipping on glasses of an iced drink made from sour plums, they settled for linking their pinkies together. I know we've just started, but just brief tangent on like that fact. Like, I need a comic on that of like them just. I feel like that's such a relatable thing, especially in this heat of being like, wait, I want to be close to you. We're too hot. This is uncomfortable. Like pinkies linked. I don't know. It's giving like trying to exchange spiritual energy. Kind of. It's like, ah yes, pinky promise. I don't know. Yes, the beginning of volume 5. I'm glad you are enjoying volume 5, Ghost. Okay, I'll actually continue reading now. Settled for linking their pinkies together. Beside them was Yang Yuhuan's elder sister, the Duchess of Guo, busy peeling lychees. She placed the peeled fruit into a colourful glass bowl filled with ice, as her cousin, Chancellor Yang Guozhong, stood by eating the pale pink fruit by the handful. He also likes lychees. Nice. It's nothing but a silly story spun up by that Commandant Li Jinglong of the Longwu Guard, Yang Guozhong said with a laugh. His subordinates got drunk and started a brawl while he snuck off to go whoring on duty. He knew there'd be no way to clean up his mess the next morning, so he came up with this absurd story. This man must be punished, the Duchess of Guo said. He fails to discipline his subordinates, neglects his duties, deceives the Son of Heaven, and spreads dangerous rumors. It's completely unacceptable. This Li Jinglong? Yang Yuhuan finally placed the name. Isn't he General Feng's younger cousin? That's him all right, Yang Guozhong said. When Changqing returned to court the other day, he submitted a memorial recommending this man for promotion. He wanted to take him along on a campaign so the lad could be recognized for outstanding military service. The way I see it, the boy's too idle. Consign him to some far-flung military post for a few years, and he'll settle down. Li Longji hummed thoughtfully, anticipating his response. Yang Yuhuan quickly turned the conversation. She didn't have the heart to let it end this way. General Feng has just won a great victory for our nation, she said. To banish his cousin just like that, after all, it's no great crime for a young man to be a bit spirited. Duke Di also harped on about Yao back in the day when he'd grown muddled with age. Li Longji mused. He created a division called the Department of Demonic Exorcism, which was supervised by the Grand Chancellor. When Chang'an became the capital, the department was moved here. You know, when I was little, Yang Yuhuan began. How did I know you'd bring up that white fox again? The Duchess of Guo said with a small smile. Speaking of which, Li Longji interjected, once as a child, when we went back to offer sacrifices to heaven and earth with them, we saw a black dragon's back as it swam through the waters of the low river. An auspicious omen, Yang Yuhuan exclaimed with a smile. The people call these creatures Yao because they do not understand their miraculous ways. Isn't such an omen proof that your majesty possesses the mandate of heaven? Indeed, said Li Longji. In fact, we've suddenly had a thought. Seeing as Li Jinglong possesses such remarkable talents, why not appoint him to lead this department of demonic exorcism? All three of his listeners started in surprise. Yang Yuan burst into laughter, and the corners of the Duchess's that's a weird word, mouth twitched as she found herself briefly speechless. We've decided, Li Longji said with utmost seriousness. Who knows where the Department of Demonic Exorcism is currently headquartered, but surely it still exists. It seems that Li Jinglong isn't meant to remain with the Longwu Guard. We shall send him to watch over the Department of Exorcism. We'll have him announce his findings on such auspicious omens to the citizens of Chang'an from time to time, and grant Feng Changqing's wish to promote him as well. In that case, his supervision will fall to you, Gozhong. Yang Wozhong could not think of a reply. That's so juicy as a scene. It's so hard to say stuff without spoilers, so I'm gonna talk for spoilers for like a minute. I will wave my hand on screen once I'm done talking about spoilers if you're watching this and you haven't read it. But like, oh my gosh, having like Yang Yuhan be like, oh yeah, I saw a fox, and like Li Longji be like, oh yeah, I saw a dragon, and the fox and the dragon are just sitting there at the table like, anyway, like, that's so juicy. Okay, I'm gonna check the chat and then I will wave my hand on screen. No, you did not miss a lot, cute smile. You missed like just like the brief paragraph of just the scene with the royal family being like, what are we going to do about Jinglong? Let's send him to that random department for totally no plot relevant reasons. They are so clingy. Yeah, really just started. Okay, waving on screen if anyone has come back from me chatting about spoilers, because I don't know, it's hard not to chat about spoilers for this bit because it's so juicy. It's like, put a pin in that, okay. We're ready to switch back to, let's see where we're going next, okay. Within the deserted residence, Hongjun and the handsome young hunter stared at each other in bewilderment. This was the Department of Exorcism? Given the cobweb-covered entrance hall, it was clear the place had been abandoned for years. The residence, a typical courtyard house with buildings arranged around a square central yard, was surprisingly spacious on the inside. Beyond the entrance hall was a large courtyard open to the sky, presently filled with empty, rotting storage trunks. It turned out the young hunter was named Mergen, a Shiwei tribesman who had also come to the Department of Exorcism to report for duty. He asked for Hongjun's letter and checked it carefully against his own in the morning sunlight. The two letters were nearly identical. Chang'an, they said, had been taken over by Yao and demons, and descendants of the most powerful exorcist bloodlines throughout the nation were called to the Great Tang Department of Demonic Exorcism in Chang'an to report for duty. While Mergen pored over the letters, Hongjun wandered through the abandoned Department of Exorcism. A parasol tree in the main courtyard stretched high above the eaves, with a large scattering of seed pods surrounding it on the ground below. A wave of familiarity came over Hongjun at the sight of the parasol tree. A pair of winding open-air corridors with rusty wind chimes hanging from their eaves and an ornate spirit screen standing on either end connected the central courtyard to the eastern and western wings. The windows and doors of the residence's 12 rooms had all rotted, and mice scurried back and forth, squeaking loudly as they went. Near the back of the complex stood a spacious room that served as the main hall, which contained a large couch fashioned from bamboo with a tea table set before it. They had clearly been abandoned for years. The furniture had long fallen to pieces, and several broken porcelain cups lay in shards beneath the wooden table. A stable occupied the narrow rear courtyard behind the main hall, where Hongjun found a sealed-off back door to the complex. Kong Hongjun. Done examining their letters, Mergen strode swiftly into the entrance hall, the top of his head narrowly missing the lintel. Our letters are the same. Well, that's odd. Hongjun had imagined that the Great Tang Department of Demonic Exorcism would be bustling with people. Even if it wasn't like the great government offices he had heard about, he'd expected it to be at least as busy as the relay stations he'd passed on his journey. There didn't seem to be a soul anywhere in this deserted premises, but in that case, where had the letters come from? Xingzhong hadn't mentioned the letter's sender before Hongjun left the mountains, nor had he ever said to which powerful exorcist family Hongjun supposedly belonged. But now it seemed someone had personally written and sealed those letters before sending them off one by one, and the strangest of all, whoever it was had signed off with the name D. Oh my gosh, yes, they are trying to get rid of the middle child. Yeah, no, same. Where did the letters come from? This is the big mystery we'll have to see. Oh, yeah, Mugen could definitely have hit his head. Okay, this is gonna get fun. Okay. Could the sender of these letters be... I should look at who's talking before I rush straight into doing a random voice for them. Could the sender of these letters be De Renjie? Mugen wondered aloud. But he died years ago, didn't he? Hey, you two, come take a look at this wall, the Carpyao called from inside the main hall. Hongjun hummed curiously and stepped forward to wipe away the dust coating the wall, revealing a faded mural of a seated official attired in stately purple robes. A copper incense burner, now green with verdigris, had been placed on the floor below the man's feet. This must be him, Mugen said. Could the Department of Exorcism have been moved elsewhere? Hongjun asked. This is the address mentioned in our letters, Mugen responded. Look at the state of this place. It doesn't look like anyone's been here recently, much less moved out. The two of them stood before the mural in silence. Hongjun had travelled for weeks and overcome so many obstacles, only to find that his destination was nothing like he'd imagined. He suddenly felt an unspeakable disappointment, as if he had spent hours climbing a mountain only to find there was nothing at the top. Here we go. Oh my, the door's fallen in. Is there anyone here? The voice came from the outer courtyard. Mugen and Hongjun emerged from the entrance hall to find a young foreign man dressed in sumptuous crimson combat robes in the middle of the yard. He had a lute strapped to his back and was in the middle of paying a pair of porters who had just finished hauling a great number of packages of various sizes through the gates. The young man had a sharp, straight nose, milky pale skin, and a head of exuberant curls above a pair of deep-set eyes. He wore 4 rings, one on each finger of a hand that held a sapphire blue fan, which he shook open to shield his face from the sun as he glanced around in confusion. Oh hey, he cried out. Catching sight of Mugen and Hongjun, the pair jumped in surprise. Hamahobi! The young man called enthusiastically, his arms outstretched. My dear friends of the Great Tang Empire, hello! He strode forward and hugged first Mugen, then Hongjun. My name is Tyropotamia Hamihog Hammurabi, but you can call me Atai. Atai pressed his hands to his chest before slowly releasing them, performing a graceful bow. May I please ask whether this is the Great Tang Department of Demonic Exorcism? Here, my referral letter. Which of you is the official responsible for this department? Mugen and Hongjun were both flabbergasted. Before either of them could respond, yet another newcomer arrived. I'm going to take a break and check the chat because it's just, I loved that bit so much. I'm so excited that Atai is here. Oh, it's amazing. Okay, I'm glad it does get explained. Wow, amazing. Okay, gonna keep on reading. Yeah, before either of them could respond, yet another newcomer arrived. Is there anyone here? 3 doors turned as one to see a tall scholar peering in from beyond the doorway. My name is Chu Yongsa from Jannan. The scholar cupped his hands and smiled. I've come here on my grandfather's recommendation. Why are you all staring at me with such strange expressions? Why is there a monster inside the department? 15 minutes later, Everyone had taken out their letters and stood staring at each other in befuddlement. But that doesn't make any sense, said Mergen, the Shiwei tribesman. You're all here to report for duty. Is the Court of Judicial Review in charge of this department? I visited the Court of Judicial Review before coming here, the scholar Chuyonks responded. The department falls outside their purview. I asked around the Court of State Ceremonial, Atai the foreigner added. They don't oversee this department either. The four sat down in a circle and settled into silence. Each had received a letter to report for duty, only to be greeted by a deserted and overgrown Department of Exorcism. What on earth was going on? There's something I find suspicious. Atai snapped his fingers and got to his feet, pacing the room. Glancing at Mergen, he said, I was in Tokharistan. Our friend Mergen here was in the Hulumbuir grasslands. Our beautiful young friend here... Hongjun, Kong Hongjun, Hongjun said. Where are you from? Atai asked with a brilliant smile. The Taihang Mountains. And you? Atai turned toward Chuyongsa. Westlake, Chuyongsa responded. So then we have all received our letters at different times, Atai went on, and travelled here from locations near and far. How can it be that we have all arrived in Chang'an at precisely the same time? You're right, Hongjun explained. Oh, Chuyongsa blinked in surprise. All three of you arrived just now too? Mergen nodded slowly. If we find the person who sent the letters, we'll learn the truth. If the person could deliver a letter to Qingsheng, Hongjun wondered, did that mean they knew Hongjun lived in Yaojin Palace? Could they have known Direnje and his father Kongshuan? And if so, did they know what had happened to them? He was suddenly struck by another thought. Maybe more people will come later. Atai nodded, the corners of her lips curving into a cunning smile. Indeed. Perhaps all we have to do is wait. This is so much fun to read. I'm so happy we have the gang. We're on to chapter 8 now, entitled Chief Exorcist. I'm gonna have some water. Suspicious. Very suspicious. Okay. Yeah, I can't believe there are only 3 volumes. No, 2 volumes have to be published. Wait, 3. I can't count. 3 volumes have to be published. Yes. That's crazy. Okay. Chapter 8. Chief Exorcist. That afternoon, 4 confused young men sat beneath the eaves and watched the rain fall in a continuous patter, bringing with it an unexpected chill. My grandfather told me to come to Chang'an to stop the Yao, Chuyongsa said. He was a baby-faced young man who seemed totally harmless. He said I would learn to be braver this way. My skills are lacking, so when we go hunting for Yao, I ask that you all please look out for me. I'm not all that impressive either, Hongjun said. These two, though. Is this found your weapon? Mergen asked Atai. You seemed quite skilled with it. You haven't seen my greatest magical weapon. Wait, no, that's... That sounds so sus. Oh, sorry, just reading that out of context. I put the wrong intonation there. What the heck? Oh. Okay. Let's fix the intonation on that sentence then. Okay. You haven't seen my greatest magical weapon, Atai chuckled, but there's no harm in telling my dear friends about it. It's this barbat. Atai unslung the loot he had been carrying on his back. Hongjun had loved all kinds of magical devices since childhood, but as he had only just met Atai, he hadn't wanted to pry. Now that they'd grown somewhat more familiar, he ran his fingers over the instrument appreciatively. It's a magical weapon? That's right, Atai nodded, grinning. My father gave this barbat to me before he passed. When a monster appears, all I need to do is point the end toward my enemy. And play a song? Hongjun asked. Nope. Atai shook his head. I swing it up and smash my enemy right on the head. Hongjun was speechless. This barbat is light as a goose feather in my hands, Atai said seriously, but when I smash it down, it's as heavy as Mount Tai. I can even kill dragons with a single blow. Please stop talking. Hongjun pressed a hand to his brow, pushing Atai's face away. when the man drew too close. But Atai was undeterred, leaning over to stare into Hongjun's eyes. The young man had indigo eyes, the deep blue of the sea, paired with his brilliant smile. They made him practically impossible to resist. Beautiful Didi, is there something that weighs upon your mind? Atai asked tenderly. Why is your brow always furrowed? Life is so beautiful. Why don't I play you a song? Mergen couldn't bear to listen any longer. Wrapping one hand around Hongjun's shoulders and holding up the other to block Atai, he said, Stop teasing him. He doesn't understand. In truth, Hongjun really was feeling rather upset. Glad as he was to have made new friends, all this talk of magical devices had reminded him that the heart lamp was gone and that he had lost one of his throwing knives. He had no way to fix the mess he had made, and had been hoping that once he arrived at the Department of Exorcism and started hunting Yao, he'd slowly sort things out. He'd never imagined that instead of answered, he'd find only another mystery. It's true that I've encountered some difficulty, Hongjun admitted. What kind of difficulty? Mergen asked. Tell us, and maybe we can help. Is it some sort of monster? A monster? Chu Yongsa straightened up in alarm. So it's true. There are monsters in Chang'an? It would be my greatest honor to help you, said Atai. Chu Yongsa shrank into himself. As long as I don't have to get too close to any monsters, I can help with other things, and, well, I have to learn to be brave anyway, so go ahead and tell us. What kind of monster is it? Let me see if I can figure it out first, Hongjun said, deeply touched. If I'm really stuck, I'll ask you guys for help then. That's fair, Mergen said with a smile. It's better to rely on yourself than to sit around and pray for help. I'm sure you'll come up with something. He patted Hongjun on the shoulder. There we go. The rain gradually tapered off. Good times mustn't be wasted, Atai piped up again. Why not lift our voices in a song? Let's clean this place up and clear out some of the rooms first. Mergen slapped his hands against his knee and stood up. After all, I'll probably sleep here tonight. We'll sleep at an inn, Atai countered. Come on, it'll be my treat. I think I should sleep here, Hongjun said. Zhao's long will stink up the place if he sleeps at an inn. I wouldn't want to scare anyone either. For some reason, he'd already grown rather fond of the broken-down residence. After drifting through so many strange places on his journey here, the sight of the giant parasol tree in the courtyard seemed to ground him. Mergen wasn't picky about lodgings, so he agreed to stay with Hongjun. After thinking it over, Chu Yongsa decided to stay as well. Atai had no choice but to concede and remain in the ramshackle Department of Exorcism. Having so much fun reading. Gonna check the chat. Yeah, I think that's right. Cute Smile. I think we have there's one coming out soon, which is exciting. And I'm wondering when the last volume will come out. I think it might be March next year. I really hope they do a special edition. I really want a poster. That would be cool. Yeah, that would be very cool. Yes, ghosts, they are very special and extraordinary. Another vague spoiler, but it is very funny to me that we get like pretty, I don't know, complimentary, like conventionally attractive descriptions for Atai, Chu Yongsa, and Mergen, and then Chu Yongsa is like, he is tall and baby-faced and he looks harmless. I'm like, what? Okay, I instantly don't believe that. Yeah. It would have made the story a lot shorter if, when any hypothetical dragons appeared, Atai did just bonk them. Yeah. Yeah, Chu Yongsa is like a transmigrated person. I hadn't spotted that cute smile. That's very canon for him. Yeah, I love that. Just bonk. It's like, what's your spiritual weapon? Bonk. What? Bonk. It's all I do. I'm the bonking guy. Okay. Shall we continue? I'm so excited to be reading this. It's so much fun. Gosh, now I have to go back to whatever this is. As evening fell, rosy clouds veiled the sky over Chang'an. After 3 days of rain, autumn had officially come to the Guangzhong region. Feng Chengqing limped out of the Longwu Guard garrison, leaning heavily upon the cane in his left hand as he held Li Longji's imperial decree in his right. Li Jinglong followed, a towering figure with a bedroll tucked under his arm. Li Jinglong thought his cousin would bring a servant to transport the bedroll home, but Feng Chengqing insisted Li Jinglong carry it himself, so that he might better receive the gift of the common folk's mocking eyes upon him. It was the ultimate humiliation. Catching sight of the wastrel who'd been chased out of the Longwu Guard, the commoners of Chang'an couldn't keep from bursting out in laughter. You've been transferred to the Great Tang Department of Demonic Exorcism, Feng Chengqing snorted as he hobbled along with the imperial edict in hand, though it was difficult to say whether he was ridiculing Li Jinglong or himself. Truly an outstanding appointment. Under the right chancellor himself. Why, you've risen 2 ranks overnight. I'm not walking any more, Li Jinglong said in a low voice. He could feel the commoners pointing fingers like sharp blades pricking his back. Feng Chengqing turned and struck him with the cane. Where's your shame when you fled from the brothel in Pinkang Ward? He demanded furiously. Li Jinglong was sorely tempted to hurl his bedroll to the ground and storm off, but filial piety was the foundation of good character. Li Jinglong's parents had died young, and although Feng Chengqing was his cousin, it was he who had supported Li Jinglong through the years. If Li Jinglong were to openly defy his elder cousin in the middle of the street, he would never be able to hold his head up again. He could only grit his teeth and endure it. Who loses face when you parade yourself through the streets the way you did? Feng Chengqing sighed woefully. Me! I am the one who loses face. Li Jinglong trailed behind Feng Chengqing. Even the virtuous Duke of Zhou feared the power of rumour. Meanwhile, the tyrant Wang Mang maintained a righteous image up to the moment he usurped the throne, he said, stony face. Had either of them died early, no one would have known which part of their lives were true and which false. Sooner or later, the truth will reveal itself. If you don't believe me, why did you summon so many people to the garrison today to question me? Oh, yep. My brain... I don't know who was talking. Okay. Oh well. I guess we're just gonna pretend that I was doing that as Li Jinglong. Okay. Why did you summon so many people to the garrison today to question me? You know perfectly well that I've never told a lie. Then why not show His Majesty the Yao of which you speak? Feng Chengqing retorted. Why not find the mysterious adversary you encountered and go defend yourself before the imperial court? Why don't you go and find them and show them to me? Li Jinglong was so angry he was shaking. Standing in the entrance of an alley, he said with all the solemnity he could muster, One day you will see. Feng Chengqing said no more. The two of them walked almost halfway across Chang'an. Feng Chengqing made a point of leading Li Jinglong through the West Market. Damn, that's brutal. As they came to an intersection, Li Jinglong turned into an alleyway with his bedroll in his arms. Feng Chengqing drew himself up. Where are you going? Li Jinglong ignored him. He had no desire to return to Feng Chengqing's home when they'd only end up fighting again. He'd rather go straight to his new assignment. Feng Chengqing leaned on his cane and staggered after Li Jinglong, who continued to stride forward without a word. A bright melody floated out from the alleyway. Someone nearby was singing at the top of his lungs. The setting sun dyed the brick road red and dragged Li Jinglong's shadow across the ground. An autumn breeze swept past, clutching at their robes with its dismal chill. Where are you going? Feng Chengqing repeated as he chased after him. Ashen-faced, Li Jinglong forged ahead until he reached a doorway at the end of the alley. He pushed on the dilapidated double door, and the left leaf immediately toppled inward. The door fell with a resounding boom, revealing the scene within. At the center of the courtyard of the Department of Exorcism, Atai was playing his barbat. Hongjun was drumming on the bottom of a chip bowl with a pair of chopsticks. Chu Yongsu was striking at a large rock with a pair of bamboo pipes to emit hollow, thunking noises, and Mugen was twanging rhythmically at the string of his great bow. The four of them sat in a circle around a wooden basin half filled with water, at the center of which stood a carp with human arms and legs. With one foot propped up on the lip of the basin, the creature swung its arms back and forth, evidently in the middle of a rousing dance. The four exorcists and one fish froze as the door fell in, turning to stare at Li Jinglong and Feng Chengqing behind him with befuddled expressions. Li Jinglong stared back. We have a illustration. Dun dun dun. He is very edgy. Li Jinglong is an edgy boy. I love that. Having a golden helmet. Okay. Amazing. That which arises from fate cannot be decided by the will of man. Li Jinglong was still ignorant of the many fantastical forces that had mysteriously and... Gosh, now I can't remember how to say that word. Inexorably? Oh, damn it. Inexorably, I feel like that's wrong. That's what we're going with. I'm starting that paragraph again because I like it and I want to say it properly. That which arises from fate cannot be decided by the will of man. Li Jinglong was still ignorant of the many fantastical forces that had mysteriously and inexorably steered his life to this point. It was as if everything he had experienced in his 20 years on this mortal plane had been for the sake of today, a string of curious coincidences that led him to push open the door in the alley. A fleeting glimpse of fate, of a bond formed and then broken, until he looked into the eyes of that beautiful young man. The world seemed to fade, leaving only a single, unforgettable face. If only all of life could be like a first meeting. What seems to be an ordinary encounter at the time turns out, years later, to be something else entirely. Emotions beyond counting swelled in Li Jinglong's heart, becoming a violent storm with strength to cleave the heavens. It crashed through the embankment of his reason and good sense, till everything he wanted to say was distilled into a handful of furious words. "Give me back my virtue!" With an enraged roar, Li Jinglong drew his sword and lunged toward the group before him. Before the rest could react, Hongjun was on his feet, jumping backward to dodge. "Wait, don't hurt the Yao!" Mugen shouted. "My friend, there's no need to panic," Atai cried. "Don't be scared," Chuyongsa added. But instead of striking out at the carp Yao, Li Jinglong swung directly for Hongjun, aiming to kill. The other three cursed. Atai whipped open his fan, Mugen stepped forward to shield Hongjun behind him, and Chu Yongsu drew his own sword, all three moving as one to stop Li Jinglong. Even this was too slow. Li Jinglong had already crossed the outer courtyard and arrived before Hongjun. "He's an ordinary human," Hongjun shouted to his friends. "Don't hurt him!" Hongjun was deeply wary of Li Jinglong's sword, for it had been the very weapon that had shattered his pentacolor sacred light. He had replayed the scene countless times in his mind over the last 2 days. Naturally, he did not make the same mistake twice. He blocked the long black blade with 2 crossed throwing knives as he sailed through the air. The knives chimed against the sword as the divine weapons resonated with each other. Li Jinglong's pupils contracted. Before he could change tactics, Hongjun locked Li Jinglong's sword between his throwing knives with a twist of his wrists and swung his arms in a wide arc. The web between Li Jinglong's thumb and forefinger burned as his sword flew from his hand. Mugen, Atai, and Chuyongsa cheered. Hongjun slammed into the ground, landing hard, and before he could make sense of what had just happened, his friends had already taken Li Jinglong by the shoulders, using their combined strength to send him flying. Hurtling into the entrance hall, Li Jinglong smashed through a window head first and landed with a resounding crash in the main courtyard, where he promptly blacked out. So much for he's a mortal, don't hurt him, guys! Come on! You defenestrated the man! Hongjun grimaced. He had told the others not to hurt him, but in the end, no one had pulled their punches. Looking down, he saw he had sliced his fingers open on Li Jinglong's blade, and his hands were covered with blood. The others hurried forward to examine his wounds. Are you all right? Mergen asked with a frown. What sort of grudge does this man have against you? Glancing around, the Carpiao spotted Feng Chengxing, who had yet to gather his wits, gaping at them as he slowly backed away from the door. There's another one over there! Don't let him get away! Atai and Chiyongsa both whipped their heads around. Chiyongsa was the first to react, rushing toward Feng Chengxing with sword in hand. Feng Chengxing yelped, Monster! This was all he could get out before Chiyongsa knocked him down and set a foot on Feng Chengxing's chest, pressing the point of his blade against the man's throat. Sorry. Atai seized the opportunity to conjure 2 lengths of rope, which twined themselves securely around Feng Chengxing's hands and feet as the man fainted in shock. In the time it took for an incense stick to burn, Hongjun's hands had been wrapped in bandages, and the two unconscious cousins, Li Jinglong and Feng Chengxing, had been tossed into a corner of the main hall. His name is Li Jinglong. He's an ordinary city guard with no spiritual powers. I ran into him while I was chasing a monster through the outskirts of Chang'an. Hongjun told the story in its entirety, sitting together with the other 3 in the main courtyard. When he came to the part about the heart lamp, the Carpiao coughed loudly beside him. Hongjun paused briefly before skirting around that particular detail. By the time he had finished, everyone's expressions had turned to ones of surprise. So it's just a misunderstanding, Mergen said. This man, Li Jinglong, thought you were a monster, which is why he attacked you so fiercely. Thank goodness you weren't badly hurt. Mergen moved to untie Li Jinglong's ropes when the Carpiao tapped Hongjun's knee with a rolled-up scroll. What's this? Hongjun asked, puzzled. They dropped it at the door, the Carpiao answered. Chiyongsa unrolled the document and discovered that it was an imperial edict, which he read aloud. Dear respected sir, in light of the propitious omens that have emerged as a consequence of His Majesty's reign, the Great Tang Department of Exorcism, founded by Duke Di during the reign of Empress Shengshen, will henceforth be re-established. In accordance with this imperial edict, you, Li Jinglong, will immediately depart your station along with guard and assume the office of the chief of the Department of Demonic Exorcism. Everyone looked up from where they were gathered around Chiyongsa to stare at the insensible Li Jinglong. The paper shook in Chiyongsa's trembling hands as his mouth twitched in dismay. Talk about first meetings, they just knocked out their new boss. I really want to know what Atai Mergen and Chiyongsa's opinion of Li Jinglong was, as his first words to any of them were, "Give me back my virtue." Bet they were shocked to find out that Li Jinglong and Hongjun don't really know each other. That's an odd thing to shout at someone. Just randomly, but hey. Oh, yes, bonks. Gotta love the bonks. Whee! Oh my gosh, yes, cute smile. He does not want his virtue back. It is, again, so fun reading him being angsty and so closed off in this volume. Getting to see his character development has to be one of my favorite things about this story. Cause, yeah, amazing. Okay. Gonna look how long chapter 8. Nope, we're chapter 9. I know my fruits. Oh, we're nearly okay. Let's see. That's might end halfway through a chapter again, to be honest. Oh my gosh, is it giving back my innocence in the Donqua? I don't know which one is worse. That's amazing though. Okay, I think I want to read a bit more. I don't want to stop there, but I'm not sure if I'll get to be able to finish chapter 9. So we'll see. I love how unhinged it all is. This is just a D&D campaign. That's how I try and introduce it or recommend it to anyone. It's just an unhinged D&D campaign. If you played D&D with your friends who were very knowledgeable on Tang Dynasty history, Chinese mythology, and some various other things, which is really cool. And then just made it really unhinged. Okay. Shall we continue on to chapter 9? Chapter 9. Newcomer. We're dead, the Carpiow cried. That guy over there is your boss, the chief of the Department of Exorcism. What are we going to do? Everyone looked at each other in horror. I made this mess, Hongjun said. I'll wake him up and apologize. Bracing himself, Hongjun strode into the main hall. The other three exchanged glances. They couldn't allow Hongjun to take all the blame by himself, and followed. Hongjun knelt and patted Li Jinglong's cheek. Hey, wake up, he said softly. He'll never wake up if you tap him like that, the Carpiow said. Just smack him. Hongjun was at the end of his rope. He's our boss. How am I supposed to smack him? The Carpiow darted forwards, and before anyone could stop him, delivered a series of sharp slaps to Li Jinglong's face, the sound echoing through the hall. The young exorcists nearly wet themselves from fright. Stop it! Li Jinglong gasped awake, only for Atai to wallop. Oh, I was doing so well at not laughing. Okay. Li Jinglong gasped awake, only for Atai to wallop him on the back of the head with his barbat. With a dull thud, Li Jinglong was once again knocked unconscious. Poor guy. Zhao Zilong, I'm begging you, please don't make any more trouble. Hongjun was near tears. In a flash of inspiration, Yongsa said, Listen, let's untie his ropes and move him to the couch. Later, when he wakes up on his own, we'll all pretend nothing happened. No matter what he says, we'll stick to our story and say they both fainted from heat stroke. Great idea, the others exclaimed. Atai loosened Feng Chengqing's and Li Jinglong's bindings and lifted them both onto the couch, which they had fortunately cleaned earlier, so the cousins were lying side by side. Excellent, Yongsa said. Now we return to the outer courtyard and go back to doing what we were before. When they come out, greet them happily and say, Chief, you're awake. We admit nothing upon pain of death. They have no way to prove we're lying, got it? The other three promptly agreed and made to head out. They had only taken a single step when Li Jinglong spoke up coldly from behind them. I heard everything. In the time it took for another incense stick to burn, Li Jinglong's forehead was wrapped in bandages, and he had come to sit on the couch in the main hall with Feng Changqing, who was awake and unharmed. The other four knelt before them, looking up with awkward smiles. Chief, Mergen began, earnest, about today's misunderstanding. When all's said and done, no matter what, you shouldn't have attacked before clarifying the situation. You hurt our little brother here. How was I supposed to know? Li Jinglong exploded. Thanks to this idiot, not only have I lost my official position, I've become the laughingstock of Chang'an. Who's going to right the wrongs I've suffered? Huh? But why? Hongjun poked his head out from behind Mergen and Yongsa. Mergen pushed him back, keeping him out of Li Jinglong's sight. We're all here to do our part for the peace of Chang'an, Atai said. Our intentions were pure. We shouldn't let a little misunderstanding sow discord between us. The beautiful little brother of ours is innocent as a lamb. That's enough. Li Jinglong was about to keel over from rage. Allow me to play you a little something on my barbat, Chief, Atai said, smiling brightly. May the melody of my song melt away your anger and put that thing away, Li Jinglong bellowed. Everyone lapsed into silence once again. After Atai's rambling, the atmosphere seemed to have taken a strange turn. The distress and indignation in Li Jinglong's heart evaporated, and for a span he had no idea what to do next. Feng Chengqing chose this moment to speak up. So this means that there really are monsters in Chang'an. You, you, just what kind of Yao are you? Feng Chengqing pointed a finger at Zhao Long. Are you blind? The carp Yao asked in return. Don't you know a carp when you see... Hongjun shoved his fingers into the carp Yao's mouth before he could finish. Come out, Li Jinglong pointed at Hongjun. Stop hiding behind them. I'm going to ask you 3 questions. After that, I'll consider us even. Hongjun, shoulders hunched to make himself as small as possible, shuffled out from behind Mergen and came to sit cross-legged before Li Jinglong. Was it you who fought me in the alleyway outside Pinkeng Ward the other night? Li Jinglong asked. Yes. Li Jinglong glanced at Feng Chengqing, but Feng Chengqing said nothing. Where did you take me after you knocked me unconscious? After some thought, Hongjun concisely recounted the events of the night. But actually, it wasn't me who knocked you out. It was because you... Li Jinglong lifted a hand, cutting Hongjun off. He turned to look at Feng Chengqing once more. Feng Chengqing nodded his head in silence. Pardon me. Might move? No, it's fine. Feng Chengqing nodded his head in silence. Did I touch that woman, Sang-er? Li Jinglong asked. No! Hongjun examined Li Jinglong's expression. He had no idea why Li Jinglong would ask these things. This time Li Jinglong turned to fully face Feng Chengqing. The people out there are saying All 4 of you get out, Feng Chengqing said. The group of exorcists padded out, and Mergen closed the door behind them. Li Jinglong was fit to be tied. They're all saying I'm the great loser of the Li family, but I exhausted the family fortune for the sake of Duke Di and his dying wish, for the sake of our nation. How many injustices have I had to bear? Not a single person has believed me all this time. Now a monster stands before you. Do you not see it? Li Jinglong jabbed a finger at the carp Yao as he spoke. The carp's mouth opened and closed, his eyes huge as he awkwardly observed Li Jinglong and Feng Chengqing from where he squatted on the ground. What are you still doing here? Feng Chengqing snapped at the fish. Get out! The carp Yao scurried out into the entrance hall, where the others were waiting. While the others had been discussing what had transpired, Hongjun was drowning in anxiety. They're fighting, the carp Yao exclaimed. About what? Hongjun asked. Probably about Li Jinglong visiting a brothel, Mergen responded. Atai tiptoed over to the doorway to eavesdrop, and the rest followed in his wake. They all heard Li Jinglong's raised voice, but from Feng Chengqing they could hear nothing. The entire Longwu Guard was mocking me today. Yang Guozhong has been saying I'm undisciplined and unruly because my parents aren't around to keep me in line. Did I complain when no one stepped up to defend me against these accusations? No, I endured it in silence. All my life I've suffered humiliation after humiliation. Even when they look down upon me, in my heart I've always sneered at these petty men and their unbearable stupidity. But what about you? Now you've realized you were wrong about me, do you intend to ignore your mistake? I was wrong. I admit it. Feng Chengqing sighed deeply. What do you want to do now? Do you want to bring that child before Chancellor Yang to clear this up? The main hall descended into silence. Outside, Mergen, Atai, and Chu Yongsa had all turned to look at Hongjun. After listening to their conversation, it was clear that he had more or less ruined Li Jinglong's life. It seemed that even when Hongjun wasn't in the middle of causing trouble, he was always on the verge of it. Yet he had no idea how to fix what he had done. Forget it, Li Jinglong said inside the hall. His voice was cold. One day you'll all see. Outside, the evening drum began to beat. You should go, Li Jinglong said. A good man has nothing to fear from rumors, Feng Chengqing said seriously. Jinglong, I was wrong to blame you yesterday. It was a mistake on my part. But Li Jinglong merely pushed open the door. The 4 eavesdroppers scrambled back from the entrance. By the time Li Jinglong emerged, Atai was strumming his bar bat by a flower bed beneath the parasol tree. Chu Yongsa was gazing pensively up at the faded red paint of a pillar with his hands clasped behind his back. Mergen was picking up the shattered remains of the broken window, and Hongjun was crouched near the well, amusing himself by poking at the carp Yao's mouth with a tree branch. I want to try and... I've got 1 page left. I'm just going to pause for a second and see if I'm going to finish it or not. I love how angsty Li Jinglong is. Just Hongjun just poking a Joust along. You go, Li Jinglong, tell him. Yes, I agree. I love that. Although Fun Changqing, you can like there is like some problems between them. You see that he's willing to be like, yep, I messed up. I made assumptions. He doesn't say, sorry, I kind of beat you up, which would have been good. But anyway, it's something. It's nice that he isn't like, he doesn't have a straight up like evil family. It's just like there was a misunderstanding and his cousin went a bit far with how he reacted, I would say. Yeah, I agree, Ghost. They feel so young here, and it's like they've just met, and I love it. I love how much like nuance and context there is, just even this early in the story. Bonk. Yep. Ah. Okay. I do just want to finish this and then we'll be on to the next one. Okay. Ready for the last 2 and a bit pages. Let's go. Okay. The beats of the evening drum continued without pause. Li Jinglong watched his cousin leave through the main courtyard. Feng Chengqing limped out with the help of his cane, glancing at the young men as he passed. Make sure you hide the carp if Chancellor Yang comes to call, Feng Chengqing warned, or it will be carted off and presented to His Majesty and noble consort Yang as for their entertainment. He won't come, Li Jinglong said. Besides, monsters or not, I won't allow that creature to become anyone's plaything. Hongjun's mouth fell open in surprise as he shared a glance with the carp Yao. Jiaozlong couldn't resist giving Li Jinglong an appraising look as Feng Chengqing hobbled away to the pulse of the evening drum. You can come in now, Li Jinglong said with dignity. Everyone filed back into the main hall. Li Jinglong fetched some water and instructed each of them to wash their hands one by one before rummaging through the drawers to dig up some sticks of incense. Does anyone have a fire starter? Li Jinglong asked. Atai flicked his fingers, and a tendril of smoke unfurled from the red gemstone in one of his rings before sparking into a flame. Li Jinglong's eyes widened with surprise. Atai smiled slightly, his brow lifting as if he'd discovered some secret. Yet Li Jinglong said nothing as he lit the incense before dividing the handful of sticks between them. Then, with his own 3 held out reverently before him, he approached the mural and bowed thrice to Di Rengier's portrait. Duke Di, today the Department of Exorcism resumes its duties. May your spirit in heaven protect us and watch over our nation of Great Tongue. When he had finished, he motioned for the others to do the same, then placed his incense in the old copper burner. He lifted his head and studied the time-worn portrait on the wall for a long moment, before finally turning to leave. That's it for today. You're dismissed. The evening drum was still beating in the distance. The 4 turned and trudged out, their hearts heavy with anxiety. Mergen crouched in the main courtyard while the other 3 chatted, glancing periodically toward the east wing. The others still didn't know exactly what Hongjun had done to offend Li Jinglong, but they had summarized it had something to do with dragging him into a brothel and ruining his reputation. Okay, great. Given that Li Jinglong had rushed to attack first and ask questions later, it seemed he was prone to rash behavior. As for Hongjun, he still had not a clue what a brothel was and remained as confused as ever. But the principal source of their consternation wasn't who had offended whom or Li Jinglong's explosive temper. It was the fact that Li Jinglong was so ordinary. It stood to reason that any exorcist who came to report for duty would either be well versed in spiritual techniques or else possess some supernatural abilities that would help them capture and subdue Yao. Yet Li Jinglong was just a regular mortal man. He has an incredibly powerful sword, Hongjun said. It broke through my pentacolor sacred light. No matter how powerful his sword, it's just a magical artifact. What good will he be if he has no abilities of his own? Atai sighed in despair. Hongjun didn't want to say Li Jinglong had the heart lamp's power inside his body when he hadn't yet verified that this was so. As they talked things over, the 4 of them grew increasingly dejected. Mergen had expected the leader of the Department of Exorcism to be a highly capable master of exorcism. Ate, on the other hand, simply found Li Jinglong to be extremely dull. Chu Yongsu thought the chief of the Department of Exorcism ought to at least have the power to protect his subordinates. From what he'd seen of Li Jinglong's abilities, even if the man was a skilled martial artist and possessed his divine weapon, he had nothing else to recommend him. Chu Yongsu couldn't help but lose enthusiasm for the whole venture. Halfway through the discussion, Li Jinglong emerged from the east wing. He ignored his subordinates and made his way to the outer courtyard to fetch some bedding. Despite their silence, the young exorcist's disappointment with their new chief was painfully obvious. So then, what are we going to do from now on? Hongjun wondered. I suppose we wait and see what orders he has for us, Atai said with a smile. We do whatever he tells us to do. Anyway, I'm heading back to my room. After Atai left, Chu Yongsu spoke up. I refuse to hunt Yao with him. I'd have to waste energy protecting him. I'm already afraid of dying as it is. Chu Yongsu got up as well, shrugging his shoulders. Mergen was about to ask which room Hongjun was staying in when Hongjun abruptly announced he was going to check on Li Jinglong and hurried away with soft steps. We'll start next time on chapter 10 with our first actual conversation between the two leads. Let's go! Okay, that was so much fun. Every time I feel like I get more into the rhythm of reading, please feel free to leave constructive criticism likewise, because I don't know what I'm doing. But this is so much fun to read. The dialogue and the emotion makes it so juicy. I hope you've enjoyed. I'm gonna look back through the chat and not knock over the rose and a wine champagne glass that is sat on my desk. Chongming does deserve to be mentioned. The Fire Dad always deserves to be mentioned. Yeah, anger therapy would be good. Cute smile. Yeah, Ghost, I agree. Chongming could do with that as well. We've got to find a way to bring Chongming in. It's what every stream needs. Okay. I feel like if Chongming is gonna enter the scene, oh wait. I was gonna say, if Chongming is gonna enter a scene saying, honey, I am the fire starter, I feel like Callous Whisper has to start playing, or maybe that's just my head, but I'm just imagining him just flowing into the room with the do 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 do. Anyway. Thank you so much for joining me for the stream. Again, to self-promo because I'm bad at it. If you've enjoyed the stream, maybe give it a like or give me a follow on here or other platforms. I'm loving reading this with you all. Thank you for the impeccable vibes. It's so much fun and I'm so excited we got the gang now. Let's go. So now we're gonna have more chaotic shenanigans with current members of the department present. We have leads. I thought this was just about a group of guys trying to do ghost hunting. Yeah, it is ghost. You can put anyone as the lead and it works. I mean, they all have, this is why it's a D&D campaign. They all have main character energy in their own little ways. Oh my gosh. Yes, cute smile. That is definitely what he said to Kong Xuan. Oh my gosh, I'm just imagining. It doesn't make sense without being said so far, but I'm just imagining Zhao Zilong just like with the is it trumpet? Whatever instrument plays the beginning of Callous Whisper. I don't know what it is. Anyway. Yeah, I'm gonna head off now. I probably won't be streaming till after the weekend because I am going to a con on Saturday and that involves me doing like 3 hours of travel. Because I decided I was gonna do that. So I will be tired until probably Monday or Tuesday next week when it might be a chill stream or it might be a reading stream. We'll see. Might do a chill stream and chat about the con. We'll see. But I am definitely going to continue reading this. We've got to 100 pages, just over 100 pages, 106 in, I think, 4 streams, which is pretty damn good going. And if we do the math of that, that means there's another, I think, roughly another 12 streams of this book. And I'd like to maybe try and get through those mostly in August, maybe. I don't know. I want to keep reading it. I'm enjoying reading it. We'll work out the logistics another time as they come. But yeah, thank you for joining me. Thank you, Wandering Ghost and Cute Smile, for providing impeccable vibes in the chat as always and chatting, and yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's a fair reaction, Ghost. Oh, that was so much fun. Okay, I hope you guys have an awesome evening. Thank you, Ghost. I will have fun. I'm gonna cosplay Keyfree. And yeah, because as a comfy costume, it's gonna be hot, and I will leave my wig and put it on the when we get there. Yeah. Thank you, Cute Smile. I will have fun at the con, hopefully. I'm really looking forward to it. Yeah, it's gonna be fun vibes. One of my favorite cons. I've been going 3 years. I usually go both days, but I've moved further away, and I'm also way more tired than I thought I would be, so I've changed plans, cancelled my train ticket for Sunday, and been like, I'ma just go down one day and risk the travel both ways. But yeah, okay. Have a great rest of your evenings, everyone. May the whimsy of Legend of Exorcism find you wherever you may be in the time, space-ness of